Hey, what's up guys, John here. The White House has now partnered with 180 jurisdictions across 36 states all throughout America to reshape and change landlord-tenant law and property rights for 330 million people. This is one of the biggest changes in real estate that we've ever seen, and many people right now are anticipating a real estate crash or an economic slowdown, to say the least, and they're getting ready to go out there and pounce on some of these great real estate deals, which, I advise people to do it, but do it based on real value, based on real risk, based on what's actually happening, because many people don't realize what's happening inside of the economy, where we're actually at. When they say that they want to combat inequity and affordability and make things more fair and just, they don't just mean the buzzwords. They really mean leveling the playing field and changing everything that we know about capitalism. And this is what's happening right now. I'm going to break it down. I'll show you the facts, show you exactly what's going on. For example, I was looking at this article yesterday in Santa Monica, California. They said this right here. They say that housing is a key piece of our work to foster a diverse community through equitable access to housing regardless of someone's income level. Regardless of their income level. So you think about this, they don't really need to be able to afford to buy a property. So why are they doing this? Why are they doing all of this? Well, the more you start to pull back the curtain, the more you'll see the big picture. And that's what I'll give to you in this video. Please hit the like button, YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's really happening in America's housing market and economy. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself for the greatest wealth transfer in American history, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item in a credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video and schedule a free strategy session. So take a look at this. So this is on whitehouse.gov. You can see right here in the URL. Eviction prevention reform. Major expansion on eviction diversion. Before the pandemic, there were only a handful of eviction diversion programs. Since Biden-Harris administration pushed, approximately 180 jurisdictions in 36 states developed or enhanced eviction diversion programs with ERA. For example, state Supreme Courts in Michigan, Indiana, New Mexico, and Texas. Many people say, hey, this will never happen in Texas, never happen in Florida. It's happening. All adopted statewide eviction diversion programs, and Philadelphia extended its model, pre-filling eviction diversion programs. In Michigan, these efforts have cut the eviction rate in half, from nearly 30% in 2019 to 14% in 2022. In New Mexico, eviction diversion reduced eviction filings to 36% below historic averages across the state and 41% below historic averages in Albuquerque. In Philly, 85% of cases reached a settlement or an agreement to continue negotiations, and eviction rate filings have remained 53% of historic averages since the national eviction moratorium ended in 2021. Now, look at this. In Beverly Hills, for example, they wanted to bring 3,300 affordable housing units. People in Beverly Hills said, you know what, we don't want this in our community. There's not enough room, and this just isn't for us. And you know what the city did? They banned being able to remodel your home. They banned being able to remodel your kitchen, put a pool in your property, do anything. You were not allowed to touch your property. I mean, look, this is Fox, Real Deal, ABC News, SF Gate, KTLA, all the mainstream media outlets reporting on this. So this is what actually happened. I mean, Wall Street Journal was reporting on it. I mean, every outlet was reporting on this. Now, when you look at this, it's really fascinating, because in Los Angeles, what they're looking to do, and this goes way past Los Angeles, but I want to make a point here. Los Angeles, what they're looking to do is authorizing a master lease with apartment owners. So under the pilot program, city would lease buildings and sublease units to homeless residents. So if you are a property owner and you own a 5-unit, a 10-unit, 20-unit building, you would be able to essentially hand the keys to the city. The city will fill the property with people that do not have homes, and then you would get paid directly from the city. Now, what happens if, let's say, the city, the funding cuts off? I mean, they're in a $68 billion deficit. So, I mean, they don't really have that much money, or at least that's what they say. So what happens in the event that that would occur? Would the landlord be stuck with evicting tenants that don't have jobs or don't have the ability to pay with government contracts? Well, what would that actually look like? This is happening, and it's spreading really, really quickly. Los Angeles wants to become a landlord and sublease apartments to homeless residents. The city council voted to launch a master leasing program to lease all or part of an apartment building, then sublease unit to homeless residents with supportive services. So now look at this. They're also working on, in Los Angeles, rent control. So this rent control, it's not just traditional rent control. This just came out February 1st. And this is on the ballot to where what they're essentially doing, it's called Costa-Hawkins, trying to overthrow Costa-Hawkins, to where if a tenant, let's say, for example, you have an apartment building and that tenant's paying you $2,000 a month and that tenant relocates, let's say it's an old unit in a nice area, you want to fix it up and you want to bring it to market rent, you're not allowed to. You would only be able to rent it for the exact price in which that former tenant was paying. The same thing will be applying to rent control will be expanded to single family homes, to condominiums, to new construction, will result in the loss of revenues. Rent control boards will assess new fees on property owners. It's really, really a big change. This is all happening right now. And at the same time, with Karen Bass in Los Angeles, she partnered with the White House on this new plan called the All-In. It's called the Federal Strategic Plan to Prevent and End Homelessness, which set a bold goal to reduce homelessness 25% by next year. And this is all across Chicago, Dallas, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Metro, Seattle, and state of California. So never mind the fact that they partnered up with 36 states, they also have that collaboration with Chicago, Dallas, LA, Phoenix, Seattle, and the entire state of California. So you see this is really, really growing. And so the more you look into this, the more you see that this is the Biden-Harris's plan for 2024, says the plan to reduce homelessness 25%. So how do you reduce homelessness? Their first point of action is to prevent evictions. To assist renters in accessing resources to avoid evictions, make the legal process during eviction proceedings fairer, and mitigate further or future housing instability. The budget provides $3 billion in mandatory spending for competitive grants to promote and solidify state and local efforts to reform eviction policies by providing access to legal counsel, emergency rental assistance, and other forms of rent relief. It's right there. This is what's happening. After halting rapid rise in homelessness, Biden-Harris administration announced a plan to reduce homelessness 25%. And so they even go a little further here on the whitehouse.gov. They provide a link down below to prevent homelessness. It's this link right here. And this plan to prevent homelessness, these NCCRR plan, they've talked about tenant representation decreasing the likelihood of overall impact on these consequences. And they have New York, 84%, San Francisco, 84% representing tenants, 93% in Cleveland, Boulder, Kansas, Toledo, Connecticut, Washington State, Oklahoma, Massachusetts, California, Minnesota, Denver. All of these locations are moving in this direction. And so you can really see things pretty clearly for what's actually happening. Now, a lot of these laws that they're working on that are already signed in, people don't know about them yet. They think, okay, where we're at right now, this is where we're staying. No, where we're at right now is a high interest rate environment with high insurance and high taxes and an affordability crisis where most people can't afford to go out to a dinner. Right? That's what the environment we're in. And when you look at, rent, for example, most areas people are spending 40, 50, 60% of their overall gross monthly income on shelter. And so the number one target right now is bringing down those costs, where the landlord, their costs are continuing to rise. And so it's going to be a battle on, a lot of these landlords. They're, I believe, going to be forced to sell. I think a lot of them are going to be forced to sell. And we look at this. In response to the pandemic, Biden-Harris administration deployed unprecedented tools to keep Americans housed, including delivering nearly 11 million emergency rental assistance payments and establishing a first-of-its-kind national eviction prevention infrastructure that kept eviction filing below pre-pandemic. So infrastructure, right? That doesn't seem temporary. So you look at this. You start to really see this plan. The plan is to reduce barriers to build housing, expand financing tools. Also zoning plans. They have big plans to reduce barriers to build housing, like restrictive and costly land use and zoning laws. So they have a lot of changes coming for zoning, for landlords that own properties. It's going to be a completely different rental market, I believe, over the next year or two. That's what I think we're walking into, a completely different rental market. And it's in a market where a lot of people aren't, I believe, going to be able to hold on. For example, right here, a record number of Americans can't afford their rent. Lawmakers are scrambling to help. Right? So you see the trend. But one thing that I think is going to be very, very interesting is when you look at the dates here, this is all, recent. This is all like the last 60 days. And they say that, evictions are one of the key causes of premature death, right? And we've noticed over the last couple of years, one of the main goals is to avoid such a situation, right? That's everywhere. Every mainstream media outlet, everyone's talking about, we have to do this, we have to be safe about everything. Well, what about landlords, right? If landlords are causing this, they have to come up with a problem, right? At least that's what they're saying. So you can see this, CNN, mortality surge for renters facing eviction during pandemic, 1 week ago. December 19th, unaffordable rents linked to premature, right? New York Post, December 22nd. Like, this is all coming out. Americans who struggle to afford rent are passing away sooner. USA Today, 1 month ago, high rents in the U.S. harming health. I mean, money-wise, The Guardian, Daily Mail, right? All these outlets are talking about this. And so when you see this, I personally would just look at the facts. I would look at the chain of events and look at the real facts. Right now, I look at real estate. I think that if you're a newbie and you have no experience and you're going out there trying to, buy a house to rent it out, I would caution against it unless you have a really, really good deal, you have a good team in place, you understand value, you have a competitive edge, and you have a really, really good plan. And you're able to go out there and, buy the right deal in the right environment. Because the market in which you buy the deal is almost as important as the deal itself. Because when you have a market like Santa Monica, for example, where you buy a property and you can't evict them because of you can't discriminate on their income. Think about that. How do you, as a landlord, hold on to your property? How do you make money? How do you stay in business, right? Where you invest matters. I would look very, very closely at all the states that have partnered up so far, these 180 jurisdictions in 36 states. I would look at this. I would also look at what's actually happening inside of that city, all the plans that are coming forward, and make an educated bet based on value and based on risk. I personally believe, when you have 70% of all multifamily properties owned by mom and pop investors and they're facing these significant headwinds in this affordability crisis, how many can actually hold on over the next year or two? Time will tell. Drop below. Let's have a conversation about this. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we would love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item in your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free study session for Monday, and I'll catch you next video.